Well, yesterday, I think the absolute sewage that poured forth was enough to shock anyone. The amount of disgusting bile that we saw come out yesterday was really, truly shocking. And if you thought the sewage that you can see literally pouring out from the beaches on Cornwall was disgusting, wait until you see Suella Braverman's complete unhinged rant about asylum seekers, the invasion that is apparently going on down on the south coast, and apparently how broken the asylum system very much is. This was absolutely well and truly disgusting. And I've said for quite some time that Suella Braverman is absolutely the worst choice Rishi Sunak could have ever have put back in for Home Secretary. Why on earth would he pick her? I've said it before, it was a purely political one. He needed her support, he needed the right wing on her support. And unfortunately, it seems that the right wing, from what we have seen from her leaks, because this is where it gets insane, Suella Braverman and her right-wing colleagues on the backbenches have been using her to influence government policy, wanting to put forward an even more extreme asylum limitations on people trying to enter the UK, that even legitimate asylum seekers should not be settled here in the UK and instead settled elsewhere, which, by the way, is completely illegal, breaking a treaty that the UK itself was a signatory to and even a co-creator. It's absolutely insane. It's just blows my mind. But that is the state at which we have gotten to. And if you haven't seen the speech itself, it's well and truly crazy. But how did we get here? How did Suella Braverman end up with having to spout a completely unhinged rant? Well, partly because of the events of the day. Previously over the weekend, we've had continuing news about Suella Braverman and just how much she has apparently been leaking, even herself admitting she might have even leaked up to 6 times using her own personal email of sending important top secret documents, which are, again, are not meant to be sent out of government, circulation, to her own private email and then sent to who knows who else. It boggles the mind. And this may not only broke the ministerial code, but it may have even broken the law. And you wonder why MI5 don't trust Suella Braverman but telling her any secret information. I wonder why, if she's acting like that. But it gets even worse, because the Tories are in a bit of a bind at the moment, with certainly the coming, shall we say, austerity 2.0 presented by Rishi Sunak and, of course, Jeremy Hunt. It is very, very possible that we will get a lot of, cuts to vital public services. But they will try and offset that by saying, oh, look, we're raising taxes. We're not just, cutting back on vital public services, we're raising taxes as well. This isn't what we did before. It's completely different. It's austerity 2.0. And that is how it is going to be sold by the sounds of it. The language is already coming out about how they intend to raise taxes, and then quietly on the sidelines, they're going, but we're also going to cut public services as well. But we're going to raise taxes. Don't worry about it. So, of course, the Tories are very much in a pinch. And unfortunately, I think Suella Braverman has maybe given them another way out of this. Because prior to 2016, the two big things the Tories loved to attack were the EU and, of course, illegal immigration. But it is worth pointing out that the UK really never had a problem with illegal immigration. They had a problem with legal immigration, but they couldn't get away with saying that. Now that we're out of the EU and we are seeing, again, more people cross the channel in these small boats, but only happening because we have left the EU. Let's make that very point clear. Because we've left the Dublin Agreement, that means that these small boats have been an ever increasing problem. And not only that, but we have seen the asylum system under the Tories completely break down. And this started, by the way, under Priti Patel. You'll notice that she's between desperately trying to distance herself from Suella Braverman. But this problem really started under her because it was Priti Patel who reduced the resources and money for processing applications, which, again, according to a report we saw yesterday, we mentioned as well, that it now takes up to 8 years for one individual asylum application to be processed. 8 years. This is a deliberate policy decision by the Tories to break the asylum system so that they can justify going really hardcore on creating a really brutal system to basically stop anyone permanently. Or they'll say that, oh, don't worry, people can still come, and there will be two routes. There'll be what is known as the golden parachute route, where if you've got enough money, as we saw just a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about all those Russians, you will get a golden parachute visa. Well, you'll be able to fly over this labyrinth and be able to land safely in the UK as a UK citizen, provided you've got the readies to pay for it. Or they will create this absolutely labyrinthian maze for asylum seekers to try and navigate, at which every twist and turn will try and disqualify them ever more. But this is the point of this. The Tories are terrified of Nigel Farage or even UKIP making some sort of a comeback. Because that was their big fear. And it is still today. Even though UKIP is but a shadow of its former self, they are terrified of it coming back. Because what was UKIP's main argument? Well, it was all those immigrants coming over here, taking your jobs. And it seems that Suella Braverman's completely unhinged rant yesterday has now given the Tories possibly leave and license to start reaffirming that talking point again. So I would not be surprised in the coming days if we start to see this talking point advanced even more. Oh, it's all those immigrants coming over here taking your jobs. Because Suella Braverman described this in absolutely terrible language. She described it as an invasion. And remember, only just a few days ago, we saw an asylum, place attacked by someone with Molotov cocktails. And this goes all the way back as well to Priti Patel, who went after those lefty do-good lawyers. And days later, an immigration office run by lawyers was attacked. We must be absolutely sure that this language does not become common cause, and that if the Tories do start speaking out in this way, they must be slapped down hard. Because this language will affect hundreds of thousands of British people here in the UK. I've said it before, if you know someone who is of a different descent, and I've got a few sort of Polish friends who are second and third generation because there's a large Polish community near me. They all have that unfortunate story of that one time. And unfortunately, if you know what I'm talking about, it doesn't end well. But it is fueled by the exact same language that Suella Braverman decided to completely spew all over Westminster yesterday. And unfortunately, it gives licenses to hundreds of thousands of other complete and utter racists down the country to start spewing the same language and thinking, gee, I can now start doing racism on the daily and in public, because, hey, if Suella Braverman can get away with it, then so can I. And I worry the direction this sends, because the Tories were clearly cheering for it. The backbenchers were cheering for that yesterday. And on the last note before we go, the Tories claimed that Labour doesn't have a plan. But neither do the Tories to this broken asylum system, which they themselves broke on purpose, because they do not have a plan which is humane, legal, or could even actually work. So, as always, like I say, thank you very much for watching. And of course, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, we'll see you all very soon.